Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and let's take a trip back to Africa, shall we? I am thinking of doing this page right here, the Lantern Market at Marrakesh. So I'm going to use Polychromos, and let's see where it takes us. Hello everyone. If you are new here, because I know there's lots of new peeps on the channel, welcome. We are a very loving community around here. And we've been working in this Africa book for quite a while, and we have quite a few pages colored. So in the description box below, there is a playlist with all of the different Africa pages if you want to follow along. Now, one of the things that I do when we go to Africa is I try and teach us a little bit, or learn myself, about whatever it is we're coloring. So a lot of my color alongs, some of which I will tell you things like, explain what I'm doing or whatever, especially if I'm doing something that I don't really feel is straightforward. All of my color alongs are in 2x speed. And when I'm not telling you about what I'm actually doing on the page, especially videos like this one where it's almost 2 hours long, I just don't have that much to say. You can only say color this way so much. So I usually start with a little bit of an overview, and then we move into fun facts about whatever it is that we're coloring. So today we're going to talk about Morocco and Marrakesh, and specifically like some of what they call the souks, or the marketplaces in Marrakesh, okay, which is what we're actually coloring here. So I will start with just some overview facts about Marrakesh. Please ignore the piece of paper with all the writing on it. That is my list to reorder from Blick. I have no idea why it's there. But I need to order a few open stock pencils, so I'm trying to write those down so that as I use colors, as I use the different brands, I'm writing them down so I can place an order hopefully around Black Friday and get a big savings. But if not, I'm going to need to order them either way. So what else? That's kind of it. As far as this page itself, I would say I found a picture. I was kind of Googling through the Marrakesh market and the lantern pages and whatnot, and I just saw one. And it actually wasn't even a lantern store. It was like they were selling pottery or something like that. But it had these really pretty, like, pink walls, and it just really inspired the palette. Now, the rest of it was not really relatable to what I'm coloring now. And so I abandoned all the rest of the palette from that page, but I took inspiration in the pink. So that's where I got that. Okay. And my idea for this is that this pink that's on the lower part would be a little more lit up due to the fact that, there's a door opening and obviously it's going to be light inside. So I'm using a little bit of a darker pink color, higher up and farther out. So like the outside edges and the top, right? Now, I wasn't going for any sort of dramatic lighting or anything like that. I just really just wanted a little subtle difference. As for the rest of it, this page was a little challenging in that there was a part of me that's like, oh, these lanterns are all different colors. And, when you look at the picture of the Marrakesh market, it really has some variety. individually, these lanterns can be very brightly colored and like beautiful glass, right? But I I think for me, what makes these pages work that have a lot of elements is to really rein myself in to a more strict color palette. So I really used a lot of gold as my primary, and this red violet that you see on the screen. And then I added in a warm brown, right? And those are the primary colors. I use a little bit of gray to kind of depict the silver, maybe. And I consider those kind of like neutral colors. And then I got to that plant and I thought, what am I going to do with this, right? So I pulled out like a deep olivey green and I used that and I thought, oh, I really like that. And so I went ahead and I used that on several different things, like the main sign, one of the bigger lanterns up at the top. And I really like how that turned out. But it is almost a neutral because it is so brown green that the green doesn't just pop off the page. And pink and green, or red and green, are complementary colors. So red and green being complementary, when you mute your reds down to your pinks, right, and kind of those duskier colors, you want to kind of use those same kind of duskier greens, right? And so I just felt like it really worked. Now, the other color that I used a little bit in this is a little bit of orange, but you're going to notice when I do the hanging rug or whatever it is just under the sign, when I color those circles, I use that vibrant orange and it just popped off the page and it was just too much. So you'll see me take, I don't know if it was a sepia or probably more likely a burnt umber, and just tone it back a little bit. And then I felt like it's still, it took on a little bit more of the brown, like an orange brown or a brown orange or, that kind of color. And I felt like it worked a little bit better. So anyway, that is kind of my thoughts and my thought process as to how I came up with the color pattern on this or color palette. Because I know people struggle with figuring out how to know what colors to use, right? And so all I can do is kind of explain my process. When I Googled like pink and red violet color palettes, there was no other like significant color that really worked with this page. The palettes just weren't working for me. So one of my thoughts is when that happens is you can stay analogous, meaning keep your colors touching each other, right? So like if you're using a yellow, the colors that touch it are green and orange, right? If you're going pink, right, that's a red tone, so we're gonna move towards our purples and towards our oranges, right? And then with our neutrals, we're gonna do the same thing. I could have used the cool like cooler browns, but they wouldn't have looked as well, in my opinion. If you look at the silver in this, it definitely pops off the page, and not necessarily in the best way. I think it works because it is a neutral, but it is definitely the, very unique from the rest of this palette. And you're going to see me do things like adding these, like you just saw me use that cream in with my pinks, because I want to give it that warm glow from the light. And once again, I'm not really going for like a big contrasting light scene, like where I have light spilling out, but I do feel like I wanted it to be a little brighter and a little warmer, right? And so that's what I was doing when I put that cream in that pink. Okay. It changes it without making it like a big change, right? And now I'm choosing to put this yellow in the doorway for the same reason. Because when you look at the finished picture, it is like browns, right? It reads like a gold or a brown. But by putting the yellow behind it, it warms it up a little bit and it brightens it up a little bit. Okay. Same with adding a little bit of the terracotta in here. And you're going to notice that by doing that, it will create a little bit of a richness that you don't get if you just apply whatever. I don't have my colors in front of me. Maybe Bistra is probably the brown that I'm going to use. But by putting those warm undertones, it brightens it up, and I think it makes it a little more cohesive with the warmth of my reds, right? My red, violet, and oh yeah, I used brown ochre. So anyway, I hope that you don't find this rambling. It's so hard for me to explain why I use certain colors and why I do things that I do, because it's like I just feel it in my soul. I'm like, oh, I think it needs a little bit of this. And that's what I do. And sometimes I just look at my pencils and I just know that's what I want, right? And it's very hard to put into words how I pick color palettes and that kind of stuff. So I'm doing my best to do it with as many pictures as I can going forward, because I see people writing down. I think the main things that people struggle with is color choice, color palettes, how to know what colors to use and whatnot. And the other one is how to not be too heavy-handed, which I still struggle with that. I feel like it's taking me a hot minute to get better at it. I think as far as helping yourself with that, awareness. Be aware. Always be asking yourself, like making that mental note. It's kind of like if you want to remember to turn off the lights, right? You put the big sign right by the door that says, "Did you shut off the light?" And when you see that sign, you're like, oh yeah, mental note, turn off the light, right? So you do. Well, it's kind of like that. Put a little note wherever you color. Are you being light-handed? Because some of that is simply reminding yourself you need to do said thing, right? For some, it's working farther back on the pencil. I know I have to do that when I want to be really light with softer pencils. With Polychromos, I don't find I have to choke back as far, because they just don't lay down the color as quickly as something like a Prisma. But I do love the soft pencils. But I am appreciating my Polychromos as I carry on my journey and have learned how to do a little more layering, which I'm kind of doing here, right? Going back and forth between the colors and allowing them to build up naturally. So it's a work in progress for us all, right? So anyway, what else? Was there anything else? The other thing was adding the white highlights, I think really added to this page. And when I was skimming through, and I'll try and find it when I edit this video, I saw a picture. I think it was somebody that had colored this type of image in an Erie book, and she had put the little lantern, like the stars, like the white stars, you know, like when something's shiny. And I really liked that it really made it look shiny. And I thought, well, that would be perfect to just kind of highlight the shininess of all of these lanterns. But yeah, I think the biggest struggle on this page for me, and you'll see me jumping back and forth from element to element, just one at a time, like, okay, I'm going to make this one gold, get my plan, execute it. And then I look to another element and say, okay, what am I going to do with that? Because it wasn't a systematic process. I didn't go into this page saying, okay, I'm going to color all of these lanterns gold, right? I literally color one and then move to another one and then back and forth. And I just keep jumping back and forth and adding elements and seeing how they balance, right? And seeing like, I don't know, like trying to balance like the lightness of the one I'm coloring right now, and then using essentially the same colors to color the one directly below it, but really focusing on the darker colors, right? And so you're going to see me just kind of jump back and forth to different elements on the page. And that's why I'm doing that, because I'm literally balancing things one at a time and trying to keep my palette cohesive. And sometimes you struggle a little bit because when you're looking at the inside of this like doorway inside there, it's so tempting. There's like this, like a rug and a box and a little jar and then like the flooring and the jugs and that kind of stuff. And it's really tempting to want to do those in different colors. And so the challenge for myself is to using the colors that I have, how can I make them differentiate from each other? And some of that is simply like that jug. I'm using that green that I used from the tree, the little plant, right? I allowed myself to go a little darker, but then mix it up with that kind of that burnt ochre kind of color, the terracotta or whatever it is that I use here, just to make that pot interesting and yet still blends in without like just coloring it. I could have just colored it the solid green, but I think this makes it a little more interesting. And yet I haven't introduced any more colors. Same with the lantern that I'm coloring right here. I like this look of like the really dark and then going to the light. I felt like that added that visual interest. But then you're going to notice that I don't think I finished this lantern until after I did 3/4 of this page, because I knew what I wanted to do for these panels that had the little flower etched in, but I didn't know if I wanted to make the little flower pattern black and I didn't know if I wanted to make the panels to the left just that same gold. Did I want to do a silver? Did I want to bring in maybe some of that purple? And so I left it for a really long time, right? And then when I colored that plant and I found that green that worked, it just opened up a lot of doors for me as I went along, because then it made sense to use that green in that lantern, and I really liked it. I felt I like that lantern a lot. I feel like that green, because it has that brown cast to it, it almost looks like a burnished gold, like a tarnished gold. And yet it still has a little uniqueness of the green to where it's a little interesting, right? Without being jarring. So, that is kind of really like, I feel like, I don't know if you guys find this helpful. Let me know in the comments if you like this kind of blathering on about my processes, or if you're just like, no, I just want to copy you, or I prefer to hear about Morocco, or I just want you to not say anything, because I know sometimes people don't like the music. I don't know. Color alongs are never going to make everyone happy. In an ideal world, I would walk you through step by step in real time. But in order to do that, I would need to do it like on something like a Patreon, or like a members only kind of thing, because of the amount of time that it takes. It is far easier to just slap some music on these and move on to the next project, because while I'm editing this and voicing over and talking to you, I'm not coloring the next one. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just putting in the full, what is 2 hours here on video is more like 5 or 6 in real life to color this page, because y'all don't see where I pause and think. You don't see how much time I gave to it prior to starting this. And of course I splice out like those pauses and whatnot, or like when Ellie barks, or whatever. So anyway, okay. So I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Morocco. If I see something that I feel like I need to point out, I will let you know. But I think I kind of covered it all. I did decide not to do a background. I thought about doing a background, but then I changed my mind, and I like it the way it is. So anyway, I am going to get prepared with my fun facts, and I will be back. Okay, I'm going to start with an overview of Morocco itself. So Morocco is a North African country located at the crossroads of Africa and Europe, with coastlines on both the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. It is a constitutional monarchy with Arab and Berber influences. It has a lot of diverse landscape, including the Atlas Mountains, the Rif Mountains, and the Sahara Desert. It's known for bustling bazaars, historic cities, and Arab, Berber, and European cultures. So Morocco has both a Mediterranean and an Atlantic coastline, a feature that is also shared with Spain and France. The Atlas Mountains stretch across the country. They separate the coast with the drier, hotter interior of the Sahara Desert. And the Rif Mountains run along the Mediterranean coast. The desert's located in the southern and southeastern parts of the country. And the Straits of Gibraltar is situated from Spain, making it a really nice location for trade and transport. So as far as people, the demographics is a mix of Arab and Berber people, with the majority of the population identifying as Muslim. The official languages are Arabic and Berber, but French is also widely spoken, and English is common in major cities and touristy areas. The capital is Rabat, while Casablanca is the economic and business center. As far as economy, it has a very diverse economy that includes agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. It is also the world's second largest producer of phosphate. The area was first settled by the Berber people, and Islam was introduced by migrants from the Arab world. Morocco was a French and Spanish protectorate before gaining independence in 1956. So I thought we would start off with the country as a whole, and then we'll keep narrowing ourselves down into Marrakesh. So these are some facts about Morocco. So it's going to be kind of just random stuff. Historic evidence suggests that Morocco has been inhabited by humans since the Paleolithic era of prehistoric times. The northern Africa was a fertile savanna then, and not at all like today's modern arid landscape. In still ancient but more recent history, Morocco has been occupied by the Romans, the Vandals, the Visigoths, and the Byzantines. Morocco and the rest of North Africa are drawn to the Mediterranean world as they establish settlements and trading colonies. And the earliest known independent Moroccan kingdom was King Bacchus I, a Berber of Mauritania. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. There was apparently a famine in the country in 1520 that killed a large amount of the population. One woman wrote about it this way: a famine in Morocco so terrible that for a long time other events were dated by it. Morocco's population dropped from 5 to under 3 million between the early 16th and 19th century. That's so funny because I feel like we do that now with COVID. It's like pre-COVID. Well, it happened around the time of COVID, right? Maybe I shouldn't say the C word. I don't want to get banned by YouTube. I might edit that out. I might put a little bleeper in there. The year 1549 saw the beginning of the rule of succession of Arab dynasties, all claiming direct descent from the great Islamic prophet Muhammad. The Saudi dynasty was succeeded by the Alulite dynasty, who assumed power in the 17th century. Sultan Muhammad III established the Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship in 1786 as the American Revolution began. The country's Atlantic Ocean merchant ships were being attacked by Barbary pirates. On December 20th, 1777, the Sultan declared that all American merchant ships were now under his protection and thus could enjoy safe passage. Therefore, Morocco was the first nation to recognize the newly formed country of the United States formally as an independent nation. This treaty today is the U.S.'s oldest non-broken friendship treaty. I did not know that. I am the first to admit that I lack terribly in the history department, which is funny because both of my boys are very strong in this department, but I'm lucky if I can get major events in the right decades. I don't know why. As a kid, I was into math, I was into English, I was a very good student. I passed history with an A, but it was one of those things that I didn't care about it. So I just learned it enough to pass the test and then threw it out of my brain as fast as it would go. Probably not a good, probably not a good thing to do. But you only have so much brain file storage, and that didn't seem important at the time. Okay, so as Europe industrialized, North Africa was increasingly prized for its potential colonization. France showed a strong interest in Morocco as early as 1830, not only to protect the border of the Algerian territory, but also because of the strategic position of Morocco on two oceans. In 1860, a dispute over Spain's Ceuta, C-E-U-T-A, enclave led Spain to declare war. Victorious Spain won a further enclave and enlarged Ceuta in the settlement. In 1884, Spain created a protectorate in the coastal areas of Morocco, while France and Spain carved out zones of influence. Morocco gained their independence in 1956 and has a history of being prominent and independent regional power, a history not shared by their neighboring countries. King Hassan II assumed the throne in March of 1961, but never established a democratic republic. Human rights abuses were investigated during his reign, and some 592 Moroccans were reported to have been killed. Morocco laid claim to the territory of the Western Sahara, leading to a war that continued until a ceasefire agreement was reached in 1991. The standoff continues today. The Moroccan government refers to this area as its southern provinces. It's interesting, the flag of Morocco is red with I think it's the Star of David. It's a 5-point star in green. And it's so contrasting that it almost has an optical illusion quality to it. Today, Morocco is a constitutional monarchy with an elected parliament. King Mohammed VI, who claims to be directly descended from the Prophet, holds vast legislative as well as executive powers. Morocco celebrates their national holiday of Throne Day on July 30th every year, which celebrates and honors the ascension of King Mohammed VI to the throne in 1999. Okay, so let's move into some facts about geography. The northern African country of Morocco, officially named Kingdom of Morocco, is situated between Algeria and the annexed Western Sahara, what we were talking about, the southern provinces. It borders the Mediterranean Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, one of only 3 countries in the world that do, the other being France and Spain. Its borders with Algiers has been closed since 1994. I didn't know that either. Morocco is geographically characterized by its 2 mountain ranges, the Atlas and the Rif Mountains, its portion of the Sahara Desert, and its beautiful coastal areas. Many think of the arid Sahara as being typically North African landscape, but it's the green mountains to the north and beyond where most Moroccans make their livelihood in the fertile coastal plain. The Atlas Mountains form the backbone of Morocco, running from the northeast of the country down to the southwest, and are, in fact, 3 distinct ranges. These divide the country into sections at different altitudes: the Middle Atlas, the Anti-Atlas, and the High Atlas, and they run from the city of Agadir to Tunisia and to Algeria. In the high Atlas Mountains are many Berber villages, terraced on small ledges and preserving their ancient culture. These are the highest and most dramatic of all of Morocco's mountains, and the highest peak is Jebel Tobkal, topping out at 4,167 meters, or 2.6 miles high. Okay, if you're like me and you can only think of things in feet, that's about 13,671 feet. So that's pretty tall. That's pretty tall. In Colorado, we have 14ers. There's quite a few. I can't remember, maybe 11 mountain ranges that are, over 14,000 feet. So it's interesting for me, sidebar here, it's just interesting to me that you can have that really tall mountain and the Sahara Desert in the same country. The world is such a wild and interesting place. Okay, moving on. The Rif Mountains in the north of the country are also inhabited by Berber people. They stretch from the northwest of Morocco to the northeast, bordering the Mediterranean Ocean, home to the endangered Barbary moss. This region receives more rainfall annually than any other part of Morocco. Okay, another sidebar. I wanted to look up Berber because I wasn't quite sure I understood what that was. It says the Berber people, also known as Amazigh, are indigenous inhabitants of North Africa with a history predating the Arab conquest. They're an ethnic group with rich history, culture, and a variety of languages spread throughout North Africa from western Egypt to the Atlantic and from the Mediterranean to the Sahara. While many identify with the term Berber, a name given by outsiders, and now many prefer to use Amazigh or regional names. The word Berber is a derivation of the Latin word barber or barbarian, and so that's why they like the Amazigh term. They're originally inhabitants of North Africa, and let's see, in some Berber societies, women play a central role in nomadic groups where they control the camp, choose husbands, and hold positions in the tribal administration. In other communities, women are seen as the keeper of cultural identity, especially when men travel for work. So I thought I would just pop that in there because I didn't know that. Okay. The Sahara Desert covers most of the southeastern portion of Morocco, so this region is not only sparsely populated, but not very productive economically for the country. More people live in the north and to the south in the Western Sahara. In the former Spanish colony, Morocco annexed its southern provinces in 1975. The Moroccan coast by the Atlantic reaches up through the Strait of Gibraltar and on into the Mediterranean Sea. Spain is only 15 miles away from the strait. The Canary Islands belonging to Spain are to the west in the Atlantic Ocean. The capital city of Morocco is Rabat. The largest city is Casablanca, and other major cities include Fez, Agadir, Wouda, Tangier, Marrakesh, and Nador. Its main port city is Casablanca. The high Atlas Mountains are easily accessed from Marrakesh, about 40 minutes away, and offer wonderful mountain retreats, rustic, full of local character, and set amidst stunning scenery. Agadir is located at the foot of the Atlas Mountains, a little north of where Morocco's Sioux River enters the ocean. Okay, now we're entering into the economy. Morocco's economy is governed by supply and demand and is today considered fairly liberal, as it has privatized some economic sectors which used to be controlled by the government. Morocco is in the top 5 African economies by its GDP, and a few years ago ranked as the first of the Quality of Life Index of the Economist Intelligence Unit. Today it has the fifth largest economy in all of Africa. Morocco was once a member of the African Union, but removed its membership in 1984 when the AU let one of the Western Sahara disputed territories enter as a member. However, Morocco once again joined the African Union in January 2017. Morocco has strong economic and political ties to the West. France and Spain are Morocco's primary trade partners, as well as their primary foreign investors and creditors. The EU's European Neighborhood Policy, which aims to bring its neighbors in the EU closer, includes Morocco. Morocco's economy is highly reliant on its natural resources, as are many African economies. Its major resource is phosphate, used in many pesticides, fertilizers, and animal feeds. Industry and mining contribute almost a third of their yearly GDP. The Western Sahara contains almost 2/3 of the Earth's potential reserves of phosphate. Other Moroccan minerals include cobalt, barite, lead, and fluorspar. The other major Moroccan resources are agriculture and tourism. Top exports include citrus fruits such as tangerines, named after Tangiers, clementines, and mandarins, oranges, tomatoes, and olives. They also export leather goods and textiles. Although the majority of Morocco's electricity is generated from coal, the government has an initiative underway to build solar thermal energy power plant. They are also exploring the use of natural gas. Morocco is the largest energy importer in the MENA region. Tarfara Wind Farm in Morocco is the African's largest capacity wind farms, with 131 wind turbines and total installed capacity of 301 MW. The Morocco population suffers from unemployment and a large external debt, but they do make considerable income from tourism. Cannabis is grown in the Ridge Mountains, and according to the French ministry, 80% of the hashish consumed in Europe comes from here. Well, I didn't know that either. The things you never think about. Okay, facts about Moroccans and their culture. Morocco has an ancient and rich civilization and culture. Morocco's distinct culture is a blend of many influences, including indigenous Berber, South Saharan African, Arab, and European influences. All have affected the country's social structures. Morocco considers it a priority to preserve its cultural heritage. Recently, it has even successfully incorporated some Anglo-American influences. More than half of the Moroccan population lives in towns or cities. There, a man's social life includes going to the cafe to meet with friends, watch television, primarily football/soccer. Women fill the traditional Islamic female role of tending the family in the home. A recent revision to the family law code of Madawana, due to its changing attitudes, has granted women more rights. Women can now have custody of their children, and the first wife must approve before a man can take a second one. Okay, interesting. The predominant religion in Morocco is Islam. Most people are Sunni Muslims. Any Moroccan who is Sherfa, believed to be a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, is given title Lala, Sidi, or Mulai. I'm sure I said those wrong. Apology to all that know the real thing. Morocco's official languages are Berber and Arabic. The people also speak Moroccan Arabic, and French is used in government, media, and international commerce, as well as substantially sized companies. Many Moroccans also speak Spanish. Since Morocco gained its independence, it has undergone a blossoming in the arts. Sculpture and painting, amateur theater, filmmaking, and music. Regular productions of French and Moroccan dramatic works are offered at the Moroccan National Theater. Music as well as art festivals are held throughout the summer months. One is the world's sacred musical festival at Fez. Morocco's architectural styles range from clean and simple lines to ornate designs and bold colors, influenced by the indigenous Berbers as well as Moroccan religion and culture. Arab, Portugal, France, and Spain, as well as Islam and the Berbers, have influenced Moroccan agriculture. Buildings common to Moroccan cities include mosques with beautiful minarets, bazaars, medinas, and kashbahs are often built of traditional adobe, which is a sand, straw, manure, and clay, and then stone. Many rural villages have no piped water or electricity. School is mandatory for children aged 7 to 15, but children who work with their parents might not be able to attend. Many girls never receive an education. The national literacy rate among adults is 50%. And in Wendy, 10%. French is required to be taught in all schools. Health care is scarce as there are 6.46 physicians for every 10,000 Moroccans. Holy crap. Moroccan's chief of state since 1999 is King Mohammed VI. He has brought the country closer to a democracy, but is still a Muslim state based on Islamic law. Okay, let's get into tourism and cuisine. Morocco's Mediterranean climate is moderate even in the summer. The mountain ranges experience several different types of climates. Southeastern Morocco is very hot. Tourism is one of the country's most important economic industries. As many as 10 million people visit Morocco each year. Morocco makes the coast, their culture, and their history the focus of tourism promotions. Most of Morocco's visitors are European, as close proximity attracts vacationers to its beaches. Almost 20% of tourists are French nationals, and the Spanish also visit often, especially for long winter trips, especially for long weekend trips. The Moroccan government has launched its Vision 2020, which plans to make Morocco one of the world's top 20 tourist destinations by the year 2020 to double the annual number of international visitors. Wonder if they achieved their goal. Morocco, should we do a sidebar? Let's do. Okay, so I Googled top 40 tourist country destinations in the world list. That way, we could just see, did it make the top 40? So this is the order from 1st to 40th. France, the United States, Spain, China, Italy, United Kingdom, Germany, Mexico, Thailand, Turkey, Austria, Malaysia, Greece, Russia, Japan, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Poland, South Korea, Netherlands, Hungary, U.S. Arab immigrants, India, Croatia, Ukraine, Singapore, Indonesia, Czech Republic, Portugal, Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, South Africa, Estonia, Norway, Maldives, Belgium, Sweden, and Ireland. Now it says the exact ranking and list can vary based on data source and the year statistics. So this was based on like the most recent data according to the AI overview. Okay. But no matter what, Morocco didn't make it. But did some of those surprise you? I feel like some of those surprised me. Not so much that they were on there, but the order that they were on there, right? Like, does it surprise you that more people go to Poland than go to Australia? Now, I've been to Poland and it's beautiful, so I'm not saying y'all shouldn't go to Poland. I'm just surprised that Australia is number 32. It was also passed by Croatia and Hungary. And I don't know. I find that interesting. But we digress. Let's get back to our... let's get out of our side quest. Now, even though they didn't make their goal, I think it's important that you set big goals, right? And if you don't obtain them, you just keep working on them. Okay, so Morocco's modern tourist industry focuses on its cultural history and ancient, historic, and Islamic sites. 60% of all visitors come for these reasons. Agadir is a major coastal resort and the base for tours going to the Atlas Mountains. Casablanca is a major cruise point, and its market is the best developed for tourists who are interested in shopping. Marrakesh is also a popular tourist attraction. Adventure tourism in the two mountain ranges is the fastest growing area of tourism in Morocco. The hikes from late March to mid-November, and the government is developing more. So there are great hikes. They are also competing with Tunisia to develop desert tourism. Morocco has one of the most diversified of all the world's cuisines due to its centuries of interaction with cultures from the larger world. It's heavily influenced by Berber, Moorish, Mediterranean, and cultural cuisines. Moroccan food dishes feature spices extensively. Saffron, mint, olives, oranges, and lemons are all locally grown. Chicken is the most predominant meat. Pork is forbidden by religious dietary laws. Beef is also eaten. Lamb is more expensive and used for special occasions. Tagines are names for the pot in which they are cooked. They're a medley of the national dish of couscous, vegetables, and meat, usually chicken. They're cooked and served in a two-piece pot. Harira is a soup that is a meal in itself, especially eaten during the month of Ramadan. Bread is a staple in the country, and there are many bakeries. The city of Agadir. Agadir is the major European centers of Morocco and is located in the Atlantic Ocean. It's one of the gateways to the nearby Atlas Mountains and close to the Sioux River. It has a dense population. Agadir is actually a combination of four communities: the former town of Agadir City, the rural towns of Tikiwine and Ben Sergao, and the urban commune of Anza. Agadir was destroyed by an earthquake in 1960, but has since been completely rebuilt to the stringent and mandatory anti-quake standards of construction. It's now the largest of all of Morocco's seaside resorts. Agadir is home to the ancient and heavily restored Kashfa, the historic wall fortress now mostly destroyed. Above the front door, the original inscription remains, "Fear God, honor the King." Agadir has more than one port. It has a major trading port, 2 fishing ports, and more recent marina port for leisure boats. One of the fishing ports is one of the world's major premier sardine ports. There are canneries and many small restaurants adjacent to the port's fish market. Souk El Had is Agadir's largest regional market with over 6,000 small shops to explore. Surrounded by walls, it has several entrances and is organized into sections by types of products sold there. Look for traditional decorations and all kinds of handicrafts. Agadir is the site of many cultural festivals every year. Some of the most prominent include Noisemakers Concert of Urban Music, Film Festival for Immigration, Concert for Tolerance, and the International Festival of University Theater plus Festival of Laughter. The Timitar Festival of Amazon and music from all over the world began in 2004 and has been held in Agadir annually ever since. Other major events including the Breaking South National Breakdancing Championship and International Documentary Film Festival held in November. Just a few fun facts. The national drink is a green tea with mint leaves and other ingredients known as, I hope I'm saying this right, atay, that is important to the culture of Moroccan people. Served all day long and at meals, it is most definitely the drink served for hospitality, and refusing it is considered extremely rude. Speaking of rude, if you're offered meat by your Moroccan host, it is important to their hospitality, and you must again say yes or be unspeakably rude. Street dancers, monkey charmers, and snake charmers expect to be paid if you take their photograph. They will also charge you for giving directions, so be prepared. Taxis are plentiful, cheap, and seldom use their meters. You would be wise to have the driver name his price before entering for a ride, or you might get a big shock at the end of the ride. Thanks to the red walls and buildings, Marrakesh is known as the Red City and is popular with tourists. They should wear sun protection, light clothing like cotton or linen, and head protection all year long. Here's some interesting Moroccan facts for kids. The national Moroccan sport is football or soccer, known as Kouria. The national team's name is the Lions of the Atlas, and they were the first team from an Arab and African country to make the second round of the World Cup ever. Kickboxing is also popular with Moroccans. The flag of Morocco is red. Centered on it is a green 5-pointed linear star known as a pentacle, also known as Solomon's or Suleiman's seal. Green and red are traditional colors for Arab flags. The pentacle represents the 5 different pillars of Islam. It also signifies the relationship between the nation and God. It was designed in 1912. Traditionally, the heart is not the symbol of love for the Moroccan people. The liver is. Okay, well, that's interesting. The national animal, the Barbary lions, as well as elephants and bears, used to wander through Morocco. They are all extinct now. Those lions were believed to be the heaviest and largest lions in the world when they existed. Today, you will see reptiles like snakes, chameleons, and geckos, as well as goats, sheep, various antelopes, and camels. Barbary musk and wild boar also roam freely across the country. And last but not least, a Moroccan woman won the 400-meter hurdles and became the first woman from any Arab or Islamic country to win an Olympic gold medal. Her name is Nawal El Moukadam. Motawakel, and she is a councilwoman today. Morocco is the sum of all of its historic and cultural influences, as well as a land of beautiful geography and climate. Okay, before we move on and deeper dive into Marrakesh, I found this 25 fun facts about Morocco. It's like more towards kids, which means I can understand it. Okay, so I thought some of these were kind of fun. So here they are. Some of these, I'm going to skip through the ones that we already know. 11.5% of Morocco is forested. Morocco has the highest plant diversity in North Africa. Morocco is approximately the same size as the U.S. state of California. Marrakesh is the cultural capital of the country. It's known for its markets, called souks, and colorful traditional Moroccan houses, called riads. The Moroccan currency is called the dirham. Is that how you say it? Dirham? And Morocco's population is approximately 37.6 million people. It's a lot of people. Most Moroccans are Amazigh, also called Berber. Amazigh, is that how you say it? Amazigh? Means free people. 99% of Moroccans are Muslims, and the other 1% are Jewish or Christian. Morocco was a French protectorate between 1912 and 1956. The official language of Morocco is Classic Arabic, but many dialects are spoken. The most common is Darija, which is influenced by Berber. 35% of Moroccans also speak French, and 20% can speak Spanish. The median age of the country is 29 years old. Moroccans like to eat on low round tables while sitting on the floor. Meals are an opportunity to bring families and friends together. The most famous Moroccan dish is couscous, a semolina-based dish served with a stew. Moroccans love pastries. The most popular one is makrou, a diamond-shaped cookie made with semolina and date paste. So I thought those were kind of fun. Okay, let's dive into Marrakesh. Marrakesh is one of the most exotic and enchanting places of the world. It's not the capital, but it never fails to entice tourists from around the world to come and visit. It is known as the Red City. The reason, it starts with 10 miles of red wall that surround it. Marrakesh's mesmerizing red walls, palaces, and alleys offer tranquility and a restful hub for both locals and visitors. The city has the enchanting red wall, but inside it you're going to find exhilarating sights such as snake charmers, hawkers, and street musicians that fill the street with a quaint charm. In the sunset, the colors deepen and the shade intensifies and appears to cover the whole landscape. Close by, or from miles away, the city embraces the romantic color of its own, almost like a scene in Casablanca. Marrakesh is the only city in the world that can combine both chaotic elements and ancient heritage into a timeless, romantic ambiance. Marrakesh has stood for almost 1,000 years and is of such significance to Morocco that the nation's own name stems from the name of the city. In the 16th century, the Saadins founded the city and built it up to magnificence. It survived times of plague and great famine, as well as military conflict. Marrakesh, the Red City, is engulfed with history. The junction of numerous exotic cultures starts here in the Red City African, European, and Arabic influences are found on the street, among the people, and within heritage monuments. The color of Marrakesh doesn't come from a philosophy, but from the architecture and the materials of the Red Sea. It is a symbol of power and a fortress built during the Amlaverdi's reign. The whimsical squares, gardens, and statues, towering obelisks, and are all designed using a method known as tabia, built from a combination of water and red mud from the Hazu Plains. Y'all, you know that foreign words are my superpower, and believe me, this is challenging my superpower. Despite the modernization of today's world, the people of Marrakesh still uphold the same idiosyncrasies and attire of their ancestors. The psychedelic range of traditional and culture, Morocco has always succeeded in fascinating visitors. The pink-hued walls, flourish green date palms, and vibrant indigo sky light up a stage for its people as they dance to the rhythm of life, colored in the jazziness of their heritage. This is the most accurate illustrations of Marrakesh. This guy's quite the writer. Have you ever wished you could jump into a scene from Aladdin where the word beautiful doesn't quite do justice to how chaotic and at the same time magical the palace is, or how a place is? That's how a visitor would see the Medina of Marrakesh. Medina means city. And in this modern day world, Medina is used interchangeably to indicate the downtown and the ancient city itself. The souks represent an Arabic market where you can find winding streets filled with local people, lively merchants, impressive doorways with beautiful Moorish designs and finishes, enclosed by 12 miles of red walls built around it. The Medina souks are the largest in North Africa. Exploring it is one of Marrakesh's finest enjoyments. A whirlwind of emotions as you try and understand the narrow streets while being distracted by unexpected experiences like people putting snakes on your shoulders, or the sense of colorful spices and herbs that are strange yet alluring. It can be a tad hectic, but it's worth it. Moreover, you'll discover historic gems like Bahia Palace and the smell of leather tanneries on Rue de Bob de Bay. As you explore, you will eventually find yourself in Yema El Fnn Square, also known as the Star of Medina. At night, it becomes an open-air theater brimming with storytellers, dancers, henna artists, and street performers filling up the square. You should try most, if not all, of the cuisine you see. What's the best way to understand one's culture if not by food? Instead of drinking coffee in a swanky coffee shop, dive into the Medina, find a good local eats, and challenge your gastronomic experience. Enjoy a cup of Moroccan tea near the square and witness the cafe's vibrant life. Watching the locals in their diverse spectrum is simply incredible. I must say, that sounds amazing. I would love it so much. Some of the best food I ever had was like, I don't know, the street vendor kebabs in Berlin. They just were like these little street corner, like we would see like taco stands nowadays, but they just literally have like a table and a spit of meat, and they like slice it off and they kind of wrap it up like a burrito, and each street vendor had their own sauce, and it was so amazing. I loved it so much. I think it was lamb, to be honest. And once in Italy, we went into it was almost like a deli, but we didn't know what anything was. So we just like kind of pointed to some meat and some cheese and some bread. And it was so incredibly good. And yet I have no idea whatsoever what it was, what kind of cheese it was, what kind of meat it was. It was just an experience. And, I don't have like a great palate. Like I'm not like a bougie eater at all. And so, it's a little intimidating to try out all the different curries and stuff. But I would be up for the challenge. I think I would really love to go and visit this. So there's gardens and parks. There's a botanical garden. And on the outskirts, there's Palmeraie Park, which is surrounded by palm trees. If you're visiting Marrakesh, the Red City, Morocco, for the first time, prepare to get lost in the souks. The Medina is a maze of windy walkways with vibrant shops and merchants. But if you want something peaceful and quiet, you'll be happy to know there's much more to the Red City than the marketplaces. Okay, so that was kind of interesting. Because Marrakesh is such a touristy spot, like with the markets and stuff, I'm finding it hard to find websites that aren't just like travel advertisements to try and get you to go there. So anyway, I feel like this is kind of like jumping all over the place, but I'm doing my best here. And a lot of this stuff we've already covered, right? Like Marrakesh isn't the capital, right? Or it's not the oldest, but it is one of the 4 imperial cities of Morocco, which means at one time I think it was a capital. Winston Churchill was captivated by Marrakesh and visited in the 30s and 40s, even spending time in the city with the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the war. Churchill proclaimed it to be the most lovely spot in the world. It was here that Churchill painted his only painting during the war, the Tower of Katabiya Mosque. Although the majority of residents in Marrakesh are either Arabic or Berber, you find people in Marrakesh are very multilingual, and they speak the Berber language, Arabic, French, English, Spanish. So that's kind of amazing, especially living in the United States where we traditionally only speak one language. Marrakesh has a reputation for being busy and noisy, especially in the evening and around the marketplace. But it doesn't have to, it doesn't mean you have to get out of the city altogether to get away from it. When staying at Marrakesh, the only way to get authentic Moroccan experience is to stay in a riad. Many within the Medina are tucked away on quiet streets and provide refuge from the noise outside. When out and about wandering the old city, factor in some sightseeing stops like a 2.5-acre garden called Garden Majorelle, or in the northwest of the city, you'll find exotic and peaceful gardens of Le Jardin Secret. Louise is where you'll find broad avenues with European-style buildings, modern high street shops, luxury boutiques, and upscale cafes and restaurants. There's an interesting fusion of French and Moroccan architecture there, and in that district that is completely different than anywhere else in Marrakesh. Just 50 miles to the north are the High Atlantis Mountains, and we talked about that. Okay, Marrakesh in the movies. It is an epic city, so it's no surprise it has been a popular location for many film producers. Films shot in the city include The Man Who Knew Too Much, starring James Stewart, and the recently deceased Doris Day. This classic by Alfred Hitchcock makes good use of the storied Mamounia Hotel. The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. In the first and best installment of the Mummy franchise, Marrakesh stood in for Cairo, while the desert scenes were all shot in the Moroccan Sahara. Hideous Kinky, starring Kate Winslet. The film really uses Marrakesh, from the souks to behind the scenes in local homes, as a character instead of a just fancy-looking backdrop. Sex and the City 2, starring Sarah Jessica Parker. Although the film claims to be set in Abu Dhabi, Marrakesh souks and a few high-end hotels are all too obvious. Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, starring Tom Cruise. They actually closed the auto route between Agadir and Marrakesh for 2 weeks for filming a high-speed chase scene. They also filmed in Rabat and Casablanca. So that was kind of interesting. Some more lesser known places to visit. Ben Youssef Madras, which is a 14th century former Islamic school, and it has Moroccan design and architecture. So you get to wander around the courtyard and look at the ornate tiles and just really check out like the school. And it says you can go upstairs and look into the tiny rooms, once home to around 900 students, and then stick your head out of the wooden windows and just really take in the architecture and revel in how the school was put together. And I will say the pictures are pretty phenomenal. They did close it to refurbish the school in 2018, and so now it's open again. And there is a tour that includes, it's a 3-hour walking tour that includes Ben Youssef, the Secret Garden, and the souks. So that might be something that you could do. Also is the Maison de la Photographie de Marrakech. I know my French friends are just blown away by that beautiful French phrase. But what this is a small building full of street photography and portraiture, some of which is over 150 years old. And this blogger absolutely loved it. And then they went upstairs and they spent hours there. And then they went upstairs and had some mint tea with what they said is arguably one of the best views in town. And they do show a couple of pictures, which are actually really cool. Other Marrakesh museums include the Marrakesh Museum, which is a collection of weapons, pottery, and other Moroccan objects. And it has a remarkably photogenic central courtyard. The Jardin Majorelle, I think we talked about that, is one of the most popular. It's part museum, part garden, is created by the French artist Jacques Majorelle in the 1920s, having fallen in love with the vibrant blue used in the Berber houses, made it a feature in his own home and garden. And Yves Saint Laurent and his partner bought it and gave it new life in the 1980s. I'm sure I said his name wrong too. You can take a cooking class. Now that would be amazing. It said, we learned how to make fresh pasta in Bologna, Spanish paella in Valencia, and traditional Brazilian food in Rio. Oh, they're talking about all the places. Never mind. They're talking about other cooking classes that they did. But in Marrakesh, they wanted to learn how to make the tangine. So they took a class in soup cuisine. And it starts with a shopping trip at the local markets. And then they went back to the Riyadh. Along with 3 local lady helpers, they learned to cook a traditional 4-course meal, which included some of the best food we've had in our 2 visits of Morocco. So it was a half-day experience. I would love that. That would be awesome. With the exception of one of the dishes they show, like, has these, what looks to be entire, like, fish in it. Like, kind of like, imagine a sardine, only it looks bigger than that. And I'm not a big fan of fish. I like to go fishing. I've caught many fish in my life. I'm very particular about fish. I don't like to eat fish that taste fishy. So maybe they do a really good job, but I like salmon. I just can't. The rest of my family, my husband and I don't like salmon. My 2 boys love salmon. So, yeah. I know, you probably think I'm crazy now. Please don't unsubscribe. But if you're enjoying this, why don't you subscribe? What a great idea. Do it now. I'm not going to talk until you do. I'm just kidding. Okay. It says the only time we felt they had control over Marrakesh is when they returned to the city after their hot air balloon ride and took their morning coffee out on the Riyadh. I have to say, a hot air balloon ride would be amazing. I think it's interesting to read these kind of blogs, but I often laugh because it's like, dude, if I had this kind of money, right? I'd be the one that's like, okay, so what can I get for like under $10? Because I need art supplies. But my number 2 love, well, it might even be number 1, is traveling. I love to travel. I love to learn. And traveling allows you to learn. You learn about the culture. You learn about the food. You learn about the people. You learn about the architecture. It's just all of my favorite things, all wrapped in one. And if they sell art supplies, double bonus. Okay. So then it talks about where to go to get good coffee. So in their view, there are 3 parts to Marrakesh. There's the Medina, which is the old town, the new town, which exists outside of the city walls and is the home to the majority of the residents. And then there are the islands of tourist luxury in the hotels and the all-inclusive resorts and golf courses on the periphery. So once again, that would not be me, but maybe someday I'll win the lottery and I can do all the things. All of Morocco's Medinas seem designed purely to bamboozle the visitor, to misdirect them, deceive them, and unsettle them. Sometimes this may be result into a wonderful discovery of a shop selling thousands of lamps away from the masses, or it might direct you to a part of town you didn't feel welcome. This is the risk and reward of discovering Marrakesh on your own. I had this experience. We went to Seattle, my son and I, when he graduated from high school. And we were walking, and this is before my other son lived there. And we were down in like kind of more like downtown, and there was this like an Asian market type of situation, whereas like one building had all these different shops, and we were talking about getting lunch, and this lady came up to us and they're like, don't eat here, you need to go here. And they directed us to a restaurant, and we were like, okay. So we got to the restaurant and we go inside, and we notice, first off, we are literally the only white people in the entire restaurant, which was fine. But they hand us like this bingo card, and it's written all in Chinese, and we have no idea what it says or how much it costs. And then this cart came, because it was like dim sum. And so this cart came by, and they would just like open a lid, and we would just say yes or no. We had absolutely no idea what anything was. Nothing. Because this was not Chinese American food. This was like authentic dim sum. And so we just pretty much said yes to everything. And I told my son, I said, well, I saw a Burger King on our way here, if it's awful, and I have a credit card. So hopefully we're okay. And I must say, it was some of the best food I have had in my life. It just was so good. And we got done, and I was tentatively walking up to pay. Y'all, it was so cheap. I can't even remember now. It was like under $20 or like $21 or something. Something incredibly cheap for the amount of food we got. We left there in shock and awe. And then when my younger son moved to Seattle, I was like, we have to go to this restaurant. We just have to. And we went there, and it had been bought out, and it was now a Chinese American place. And it wasn't gross, but it was just your typical Chinese American food and not particularly good. And so it was super disappointing. Have you ever had that happen? I don't know, but I gotta say, some of the best food I've ever had, I think I don't even know what it is. And I think that kind of talks about expectations, right? Because I remember one time I was dating a guy, and he was like, oh, my parents want us to watch a movie with them. It's Amadeus Mozart, which if you've seen the movie, you know it's a great movie, right? But I was, I don't know, 18, 17, probably 17 at the time. This was not on my list of like things I wanted to do with my boyfriend's parents, of all people. And so I was kind of dreading it, and I went, and I was expecting to be bored. And so when it was so good, it made it so much better, right? And have you ever had the opposite be true? Like somebody hypes up a movie to the point that you're just like, oh my God, it's going to be like the bestest movie you've ever seen in your entire life. And then you watch it and you're just like, what was that? That was terrible, right? So yeah, there's that. We're getting to the end, guys. What do you think? So I had those black and white tiles, and I just felt like the white on the page, it was too stark, right? Because this whole page is warm, and those white tiles were just they just look unfinished and they look too bright. So I went in with the cream, or maybe the ivory, I can't remember, and just added a little tone to it. And then I also took this brown ochre and not only went over those tiles, but also the darker tiles too, which if you notice adds a richness to the darker, what was that, the burnt umber, which is a little more of a gray brown. Adding this brown ochre, I feel like gives it a little bit of warmth. And so I do that wherever I had just that burnt umber, right? It's a personal thing on my part. And so what I'm left with here at the end is our puppy. And I debated going darker with the light spots, and in the end I went lighter with the dark spots. I think either would have worked fine. But I definitely didn't want to like bring in a different color, like, like a black or something like that, right? But I've really enjoyed hanging out with you. Please let me know in the comments. So when I do these kind of videos, the Africa videos, it takes me a really, really long time to not only to film and edit the filming process, but then to deep dive and try and find out the facts about Morocco or Marrakesh or wherever we're talking about, right? And on the one hand, I absolutely love it because I do learn something every single time that we do this. But I also know that it does take away from me moving forward in the book at a quicker pace or offering essentially more things on the channel, even if it's not necessarily the Africa things, right? So let me know in the comments. I would really like to know, do you enjoy this and prefer the quality over the quantity maybe? Or maybe this doesn't interest you at all. You'd rather learn about these things on your own or not at all. And just really like you just hit mute and follow along on the color along, which is totally legit. And you can certainly do that and reduce it to half speed. And then I'm coloring in real time for you. I'm not the fastest talker on these videos just simply because like in real life, I can be a fast talker, but when something about YouTube makes me talk so slow, even when I watch my own videos back, I always speed myself up. But then again, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube where everybody sounds like they're a cartoon because, I am impatient. But do let me know. As far as what I'm doing now, I'm touching up anything that I felt like maybe needed another layer, or maybe I wanted to mix a couple of colors just to maybe change the overall vibe. And then the next part of this video, I'm just going to pop in with my white, which I use, I think on this one I use the Langau 1 Plus or the 1mm Plus, which I absolutely love. And I went on Temu and I bought 2 boxes of 6 pens each because I just really like them as a white acrylic paint pen. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of black as well to some of the lanterns and add some dark spots here and there. So I am going to leave you at this point. Like I said, let me know in the comments your preferences. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to make everybody happy because some people will like it, some people won't. I tend to go with the majority. Let me know if you would prefer a poll. We could do that too. My Facebook is a really good place. The Facebook community, it's really growing and I love it so much because everybody is so respectful there and supportive. and it makes it an easy place for me to pop up polls and get people's opinions. So links are in the description box if you want to support me directly. Ko-fi um, or the membership, right, are good places for you to support me. But I don't want you to feel obligated to do so. That's just, for those that want to give me a little love, which helps me buy new supplies and whatnot. So anyway, and 100% of it goes into the channel. I'm not supporting myself on my YouTube channel. I would starve. But I do love this, and those things do help me buy more stuff to show you, so that you don't have to spend your money buying something that maybe isn't right for you. All right, guys, until next time, happy coloring. Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you'd like even more Jazzy Doodle and a little more snark, please check out the membership below. If you're looking for a community where you can share your work and chat with other fellow colorists in a safe and welcoming environment, hit the subscribe button to Jazzydoodledesigns and then look for Jazzydoodledesigns Coloring Community on Facebook. And there you can join a group of fellow colorists to talk all things coloring and share cute pet pictures. I hope to see you there. And until next time, happy coloring.